Hello everyone, I'm back to do the third challenge for the mega journal from Junk and Scraps prompt in the Facebook group, the Mixed Media Emporium. Now, so far we've created our journal cover. This is mine. We've also inserted our signatures, and we are trying to use just Junk and Scraps. Now, the challenge for this week is to make ephemera and embellishments again from Junk and Scraps, and these are the bits and pieces that I've pulled out that I thought I might be able to use this week. I've pulled out a really pretty paper bag that I've either received an order from, or more than likely Happy Mail. I can't remember where this came from, but it just, tones beautifully with my journal cover, so I'm going to try and do something with this. I've got a thank you card that came from this month's Tag of the Month kit from Laurie Padilla of Piles of Paragraphs, and at the time I said, I think this is going to be absolutely perfect for my junk journal. I've also got another card that I received from a friend, Maggie Sanderson, who is also in the Facebook group, who runs a carers group in Hereford, not far from me. I did a class for her a couple of years ago, and this was the thank you card that I received from her and her co-worker Lisa. This is another piece of gift wrap. You know how much I love gift wrap, and I am pretty sure that this is what this came in. This was a gorgeous needlework book that I received from a friend, Wilma Batterglin, a couple of years ago again, and I'm pretty sure that it was wrapped in this paper. I'm going to use that. And this is a card that I picked up when Steve and I were in Edinburgh for our 20th wedding anniversary. Now, Kylie, if you are watching this, you might know exactly where this came from. Kylie and I, unfortunately, were round the corner from one another, but because Stephen had surprised me with a surprise getaway for our wedding anniversary, I wasn't able to let Kylie know that we were even in Edinburgh. And apparently at the time I shared some photos on Facebook, and Kylie said, was that such and such a place? I can't even remember where it was, and we were literally around the corner from one another. So this has got a sentimental value for me. So these are the things that I'm going to use for this week's challenge. Now, the idea with this challenge is to make some bits and pieces that we can add to our journal and just make life easier for ourselves. Now, you can see that this piece here is just far too big for my journal, and so what I'm going to do is cut it in half. So I'm just going to take this off to my paper trimmer. I've now got two pieces of this paper bag. It concertinas like this. I'm just going to cut it down the middle like this on both sides. There we go, and we'll do the same here as well. So now we've got four pieces that we'll be able to work with by the time I've cut this other sheet. So there we are, and I think I will end up trimming this top piece off, and maybe I can use this at some stage as well. I'm also going to, what I'll do is I'll cut along the bottom here, and then I'm going to trim this one down as well. I've cut down the elements of my paper bag, and I've got the two with the doily design, the two plain ones. I've got the scraps as well, because what I have done is just trim down these sides here, although I have left them because I think those will be useful. I'm going to use my 2.5 inch punch just to make a cutout here like this. Let me just try and get this centralized about there like that. It doesn't have to be perfect, so that will just make a really nice tuck spot in my journal. Now with these two here, I just want to have these as individual tuck spots. I'm just going to take this off to my sewing machine, and I'm going to sew along here like this, and then I'll be able to glue those in like that into my journal. This one here, I'm going to layer the two pieces together, so I'm just going to have them like this. Because I'm layering them, I do want to ink around the edges on this one here. I'm going to use frayed burlap, so I'm just going to ink, because of course once it's sewn in I won't be able to do it then. So we'll just grunge that up a bit, just to give it more of that shabby chic look, and to get rid of those white edges as well. I think I'll do the same along here as well. And as I say, I'm just going to take this off to my sewing machine. also got these two pieces here. That was off the top of the envelope there, like that. I've also got another piece here. I am just going to trim these down and stitch these together as well. What I'll do is I'll wrap that little label over here like that. And that might be quite nice to just go on the edge of a page. So these have been whizzed through the sewing machine. I did keep a few of these scraps which I've put into my basket that I showed you last week. The rest has gone in the bin. I've only kept the usable bits. Now I do want to add some trim to the bottom of some of these, not all of them. For instance, this one here, I quite like that the way that it is. This one here, the stitching isn't particularly neat along the bottom. So I've got some ribbon here. What's this? Ghee Pure satin lace ribbon. And I'm just going to add a bit along the bottom here. I'm going to add some along the bottom here just to jazz this one up a little bit, and a little bit to the side of this one here as well. Now I'm going to be using 3-in-1, which I've decanted into one of these fine nozzle bottles. This is working really well for me. Let's start off with this one here. All I'm going to do is just add some of my 3-in-1 just to the bottom of this here, going all the way to the edge, and then I can put my lace on. I'm going to need to clamp this down for a second or two just to make sure that it grabs. So there we go, we can just pop that in place there, just smooth that down. So I've ended up with 4 gorgeous pieces of ephemera to use in my journal. I just think these are absolutely gorgeous, and the way that I anticipate being able to use these, for instance, is just having them here like this and being able to tuck things inside. So let's just grab one of these cards. So you know, I could add one of those in there, for instance, and that's a really nice element to my journal. Now this one here could either go on the side, something like that, or I just think that would make a really lovely bottom to a tag. The next piece I want to work on is the card that I received from Laurie. I've cut the back off, so I'm just going to pop that there like that. I want to cover up the thank you, and I've got some of the linen similar to the one that I used on the spine of my journal. It's a slightly different colour. This is just a scrap that I had left over. I used this on another project earlier on in the week, and I can't remember which one it was, and this was just left over. I'm fraying it around the edges like this, as you can see, just taking off some of those strands. So keep going until I'm happy with it, about there like that, and then that can be glued down on there like that. Let's get rid of those, pop those in the bin. I'm going to use a small amount of fabric tack to do that. I'm going to apply it to my finger just so that I can smooth it out really nicely, and so that it doesn't bleed through. In fact, actually, I might use my glue stick. Let me just grab some parchment paper. Glue stick is really good for using on fabric, and I'm finding that these Pritt sticks are really, really strong. So let's use this. Here we go. And I'm just going to glue that over the thank you. You know, why not recycle some of your cards? I mean, I'm quite sentimental about some of mine, especially the ones that I have received from you lovely ladies, and I do keep all of them. But, you know, sometimes it's nice to include them in a journal as well, you know, rather than having them hidden inside a box. I've also pulled out this piece here. This is from a piece of wallpaper. It's just a flower that I've fussy cut out from wallpaper. I've obviously inked it at some stage around the edges, and what I do want to do, I don't know whether you can tell, there's gold in this, and I do want to highlight some of that gold. I've just got a fine liner pen here, and all I'm going to do is just add some little lines here like this, just to mimic the ones that we've got on the card here, just to tie it all together. I'm being really loose, as you can see, about this. And then I'm going to use my gold metallic pen. I like the Uchida one. This is just absolutely gorgeous. So this is the Deco Colour Premium pen by Marvi or Uchida. Let me just hold that up so that you can see. I love this. It's absolutely gorgeous. Now I have got a scratch piece of cardboard that I've been using just to activate this. You need to just pounce it up and down just to activate. And I'm just going to add just a little dot to the end here like this, and also a few in the middle as well. This is so shiny. It's unbelievably shiny. It's just gorgeous. I love it. And in fact, actually what we can do is just add a few shorter ones in between as well. Like this. I'm really going to go and play around with this just to make it look beautiful. Now this is oil based, and so the pen is going to take a few minutes to dry, but you know, I can set that off to one side and work on something else in the meantime. But doesn't that look pretty? So we can just, you know, just keep adding. I'm not even thinking about where these dots are going, just there or thereabouts. I've gone mad with this. I've added some bigger blobs of gold. It's just gorgeous. Again, just using this pen. I've also grabbed my Treasure Gold in Renaissance, which is a much brighter gold than the usual one I use, which is Florentine. And I'm just going to go around the edge as well, just to add a touch of gold highlight just to the edge here, like this. And, you know, I just think that's going to look beautiful. And so here we are, another piece of ephemera or an embellishment to use in our journal. Isn't that just absolutely gorgeous? I love that. Now for this one here, all I'm going to do is add one of the quotes from the Tim Holtz Small Talk. It's always the small pieces that make the big picture. I'm just going to add that there like that. So these don't stick down very well. They've got white edges, so bear with me. I'm just going to use my Memento Ink and Espresso Truffle just because that's the nearest one I have to hand. It won't matter that it's not black. You won't be able to tell. That's fine. So I'm just going to ink around the edges like this, and I'm just going to use a bit of glue stick to glue this down as well, because I find that the Tim Holtz chit chat words are not very sticky on their own. So that's that done. Let's grab the glue stick, apply a bit of extra glue to this and stick that on, and then we've got another nice piece of ephemera to use. I'm going to start at this end here. Isn't that fun? It's always the small pieces that make the big picture. I've decided to keep the colourful edit. I think that's lovely. Now for this one here, I just love the sentiment that's on the front already. How beautiful a day can be when kindness touches it. George Elliston. I'm just going to add some security envelope to the back. So I'm just going to glue this on like that. So that's how that looks. I think that's gorgeous as well. I may ink around the edges at some stage, but I'm just going to leave that there for the time being. So I think I've so far got some pieces that match really well together. Now, of course, I've got this security envelope and it's given me an idea to use this. I'm just going to trim around the edges and then let's decorate this as well. Bring in a piece of parchment paper. I've got a napkin here. Now this was a napkin that I got from a restaurant here in Worcester. I think it's a nationwide chain, the Cozy Club. We went a couple of years ago when it had just opened in Worcester, and I got everybody saving their napkins because these are absolutely gorgeous. Yes, these are the ones that you got served with your meal. I think this is 2-ply, so I'm just going to take the layers apart. Yep, 2-ply. And what I will do is add glue. I'm just going to use my glue stick, and all I'm going to do is just very, very carefully, let me just move these out of the way. I just want to add it very, very carefully around that window, not going into the window itself. So just being really careful about this. If I get it slightly over, you know, that's okay, but just trying to keep the majority of that window clear. And then I'm just going to cover the rest of the envelope with glue as well. So that's the border there. Now I can go over the rest of it, paying particular attention, as I've said, to the edges, as I always do. And then I am just going to apply my napkin. Let me just stick the lid back on my glue stick. I just want to pop this down, just making sure that I get the border of the napkin at the top, and I'm just going to really carefully smooth this out, just really gently, trying to get rid of any wrinkles. If we get the odd one or two, that's fine. We can just smooth those out like this. And of course, because I haven't put any glue on that window, it's not going to stick there, so we can deal with that a little bit later. So I'm now just going to go away and trim around the edge. Let's try and get rid of this napkin in the middle. I've just got a glass with some water in it. This is just plain water, a paintbrush. What I'm going to do is use a ruler just to mark my edges, and I'm just going to run along here like this. And then just see if we can just break that seal, which we should be able to do. Here we go, it's coming. And we'll do the same all the way around. So we'll go to this edge here now and do the same thing. Here we go. And all the way around, and we should be able to peel this neatly straight off. And we can just, gently, here we go, gently tear it away. Now, if you've got some stubborn bits like I have around the edges, all you want to do is just use your nail and just gently tear these away, and they'll just come clean off. Of course, you can see the private and confidential through the napkin. That's okay, because we can add either a sentiment or, further embellishment. That's fine, it doesn't matter. I just want to make one more embellishment. I've got some Asian book paper here. I'm just going to glue a piece of this on either side of this scratch cardstock. I'm just going to make sure that I've got it well and truly covered in glue so that it doesn't come unstuck anywhere. So I'm going to glue one to this side here like that, burnish that down, and one to the other side as well. I'm just going to glue that piece down on top and burnish that as well. And then I'm just going to trim. Let me just make sure that I've got that fairly straight. I'm just going to trim around the edges. I've got my 2-inch hole punch, and I'm just going to punch out some circles. So I've punched out my 2 circles. I'm just going to ink around the edge with some frayed burlap. Now I just want to make myself a couple of paperclip embellishments. I've got some plastic paper clips here. I'm just going to pop one on each of them like this. I want the small part on the inside, so that's what they look like on the outside. So this part, let me just grab one of the cards, so that will clip over there like that. And to decorate these, I'm going to add some of these crochet flowers. Now I'm going to sew the buttons on. I'm just using some sort of graphite grey thread to do that. So I'm going to attempt to get these in the middle of these crochet flowers. I've already threaded my cotton. Just try not to pull it right the way through so that it falls off. I always think it looks nicer when you sew a button like this rather than just gluing it on. I mean, I know it's only cosmetic, but it just makes such a big difference in my opinion. So I'm going to sew the buttons on both of these. Here we are, the buttons are now sewn on, and I'm just going to glue these down like that. So let me just make sure that I get those straight. I'm just going to use some 3-in-1 to do that. I'm just going to apply a good generous blob of the glue in the middle. Let me just get that the right way up so that the button is in the right position. Press that down, and in fact what I think I might do, have I got a clip that I can use, just whoops-a-daisy, just to hold that in place until the glue grabs. There we go. Make sure that's in the right place. So I'm just going to leave that there like that. I'm going to do exactly the same with the other one as well. I almost forgot the wrapping paper. Let's see if we can do something with this. I'm just going to score to open where the sticky tape is. I'm just trying to get rid of the sellotape that's stuck to this wrapping paper. And if you heat it with your heat tool, it should just peel straight off. Just watch this in a second and you'll see it start to unravel. Can you see it go? Now, of course, it's leaving some glue residue behind, so let me just get rid of that. And all I'm going to do is just grab some isopropyl alcohol and just rub that, and the glue mark will almost disappear. I mean, you can still see it very, very slightly, but it's much, much better than it was. And that will just give me more paper to play with. This paper measures 9 inches in height. I'm going to cut it 9 inches this way as well, so we'll lose that part there. And we'll see what we can do. Cut it now to 9 inches by 9 inches, and all I'm going to do is fold this into a triangle. And I bet you that most of you will be able to guess what I am going to do with this. Here we are. And what I'll do is I'll trim this off just to make it nice and even. So that's trimmed off nicely, and I'm just going to go and sew around the edge here. So here we are. I've sewn around the edges. That looks really neat. I'm just going to round the corner as well. I can just about get away with it. I should have really done that beforehand, but I forgot. And what I'm going to do is similar to what I did with the Christmas little pockets that I made. I'm just going to fold it here like this. What I will do first is ink around the edges, because of course I won't be able to do that once I've sewn the bottom. So I'm just going to ink the edges like this. Now, of course, this side here has got that tear. So if I have it this way round, these will be covered, so you won't be able to see those marks. The only one visible is this here, and I can live with that. And so I'm just going to fold this in like so. And that's another little pocket that we can tuck things into. I think that's really, really sweet. So I'm just going to sew that shut at the bottom. And here we are, another little pocket from Junk and Scraps. And, you know, by the time a card goes inside that, you won't see all those little faults. And, of course, it will be glued onto the back of a page anyway, so you won't see that one either. Here are all the lovely things I've made for this week's challenge. So much fun just using Junk and Scraps. I love these little crochet paper clips. I think they're absolutely gorgeous, and it's just so nice using things that you've got in your stash. I've got the security envelope, which is just crying out to have something hidden behind this. I think that will be really fun to use. I love these little pockets. I think the red polka dot is just absolutely gorgeous. I love those. And of course my little journaling cards, or whatever you want to call them. The gold in this one here is just so pretty, and by the time I've added, you know, a little quote, that's all it needs. I decided to add some dimensional dots. What are they called? Crystal drops, Nouveau crystal drops to this here, just to give it some dimension. Really pretty. I did make a bit of a boob here and smudged it with my finger, but you know, I was able to save it. Just love that. Really pretty. And of course we've got this one here as well. Not sure whether I'll cover the back of this one or leave it as it is, but you know, I can decide when I come to using it. But I do hope that that's given you some ideas as to the types of ephemera and embellishments that you can make for your own junk journals. I've got a whole playlist full of embellishment ideas. I mean, some other ideas I've got are, let me just show you here, tea bag embellishments. I don't know whether any of you will remember us making these for the tea bag challenge earlier on in last year. These were just tea bags and napkins. In fact, that one was a tea bag and a stamp. That was one of the long tea bags. Let me see if I can find one here. I did pull out some examples. So I glued a tea bag down to a piece of cardstock and then popped a bee napkin over the top. This one here was a stamp. For this one here I used a raspberry tea bag. Love the colours in that one there. And again, that one was a stamp, so you'll find videos to these in the playlist, embellishment playlist, or I'll link it in the description box below anyway. So that's one idea. I've also pulled out some of these little dot embellishments that I made the back end of last year as well. Let me just move those out of the way. I made these for my owl's eyes when we were doing the paper piecing challenge, and they're just so gorgeous. Again, these are just done with paint in the background and Nouveau drops, and again you'll find a tutorial showing you how to make things like this. I'll leave it in the description box below as well, so that's another idea. So hopefully you've got plenty of ideas to be going on with. Just to recap, the challenge for this week is to create ephemera and embellishments from junk and scraps, and I hope that this has given you plenty of ideas as to the types of things that you might be able to use. Don't forget to go and check out Kylie's video this week, because she's bound to share more wonderful ideas with you as well. And for anybody who's interested in following along with this challenge, I'll leave the link to the Mixed Media Emporium in the description box below. But if you've enjoyed my video, as always, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up. Do let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'd love for you to subscribe and follow along with me for future challenges as well. But thanks for watching. Take care everyone, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye for now.